Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing your economics exam preparation series. This is topic 3. We are discussing demand and supply. This topic appears in your exams every single year. In fact, it is one of the most important topics in all of economics. In this lesson, you will learn the meaning of demand, the law of demand, factors that affect demand, the meaning of supply, the law of supply, factors that affect supply, market, equilibrium, and how to answer exam questions. Let us begin. First, what is demand? Demand is the quantity of a good or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at various prices over a given period of time. Notice the words willing and able. Willing means you want the good. Able means you have the money to pay for it. Wanting something without the money to buy it is not demand. It is just a wish. Demand requires both desire and purchasing power. The law of demand states that as the price of a good increases, the quantity demanded decreases. And as the price of a good decreases, the quantity demanded increases. This is an inverse relationship. Price up, quantity down. Price down, quantity up. There are 3 reasons for the law of demand. First, the substitution effect. When the price of a good rises, consumers switch to cheaper substitutes. For example, if the price of beef rises, people buy more chicken. Second, the income effect. When the price of a good rises, your money does not go as far. You feel poorer, so you buy less of that good. Third, the law of diminishing marginal utility. As you consume more of a good, the additional satisfaction from each extra unit decreases. So you are not willing to pay as much for additional units. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you are buying oranges. When the price of oranges is 100 naira each, you buy 10 oranges. When the price rises to 200 naira each, you buy 5 oranges. When the price rises to 500 naira each, you buy 1 orange. When the price rises to 1,000 naira each, you buy 0 oranges. This shows the law of demand. As price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. Now let me explain the difference between a change in quantity demanded and a change in demand. This is very important for your exam. A change in quantity demanded is a movement along the demand curve. It is caused only by a change in the price of the good itself. When price goes up, you move up along the demand curve to a lower quantity. A change in demand is a shift of the entire demand curve. It is caused by factors other than the price of the good. When demand increases, the curve shifts to the right. At every price, consumers want to buy more. When demand decreases, the curve shifts to the left. At every price, consumers want to buy less. What factors cause a shift in demand? There are 5 main factors. First, changes in income. When income increases, demand for normal goods increases. When income increases, demand for inferior goods decreases. Normal goods are goods whose demand rises as income rises. Inferior goods are goods whose demand falls as income rises. For example, as income rises, people buy more steak and less ramen noodles. Steak is a normal good. Ramen noodles are an inferior good. Second, changes in the price of related goods. Related goods can be substitutes or complements. Substitutes are goods that can be used in place of each other. For example, tea and coffee are substitutes. If the price of coffee rises, people will buy more tea. Demand for tea increases. Complements are goods that are used together. For example, cars and petrol are complements. If the price of cars rises, people buy fewer cars. So, they also buy less petrol. Demand for petrol decreases. Third, changes in tastes and preferences. If a good becomes more popular, demand increases. If it becomes less popular, demand decreases. Advertising and fashion can change tastes. For example, when a celebrity endorses a product, demand often increases. Fourth, changes in the number of buyers. If the population grows, demand increases. If the population shrinks, demand decreases. More buyers mean more demand. Fewer buyers mean less demand. Fifth, changes in expectations. If consumers expect prices to rise in the future, they will buy more now. Demand increases now. If consumers expect prices to fall in the future, they will wait to buy later. Demand decreases now. Now let us look at supply. What is supply? Supply is the quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to sell at various prices over a given period of time. Notice the words willing and able. Willing means the producer wants to sell. Able means the producer has the goods to sell. The law of supply states that as the price of a good increases, the quantity supplied increases. And as the price of a good decreases, the quantity supplied decreases. This is a direct relationship. Price up, quantity up. Price down, quantity down. Why does this happen? When price is high, producers want to produce more to earn more profit. When price is low, producers produce less because profit is lower. The higher the price, the more producers are willing to supply. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you are selling oranges. When the price of oranges is 100 naira each, you supply 10 oranges. When the price rises to 200 naira each, you supply 20 oranges. When the price rises to 500 naira each, you supply 50 oranges. This shows the law of supply. As price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. Now let me explain the difference between a change in quantity supplied and a change in supply. A change in quantity supplied is a movement along the supply curve. It is caused only by a change in the price of the good itself. When price goes up, you move up along the supply curve to a higher quantity. When price goes down, you move down along the supply curve to a lower quantity. The supply curve itself does not move. A change in supply is a shift of the entire supply curve. It is caused by factors other than the price of the good. When supply increases, the curve shifts to the right. At every price, producers want to sell more. When supply decreases, the curve shifts to the left. At every price, producers want to sell less. What factors cause a shift in supply? There are 5 main factors. First, changes in the cost of production. If the cost of raw materials, labor, or capital goes up, supply decreases. Producers cannot afford to produce as much. If the cost of production goes down, supply increases. For example, if the price of fertilizer falls, farmers can produce more oranges at every price. Second, changes in technology. Improved technology makes production more efficient. Supply increases. For example, the invention of the tractor allowed farmers to produce more food with the same amount of labor. Third, changes in the price of related goods in production. If a producer can produce 2 different goods, a change in the price of one affects the supply of the other. For example, a farmer can grow either cassava or maize. If the price of cassava rises, the farmer will produce more cassava and less maize. Supply of maize decreases. Fourth, changes in the number of sellers. If more firms enter the market, supply increases. If firms leave the market, supply decreases. Fifth, changes in expectations. If producers expect prices to rise in the future, they might hold back supply now and sell more later. Supply decreases now. If producers expect prices to fall in the future, they will sell more now. Supply increases now. Now let us look at market equilibrium. Market equilibrium occurs when the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied. At the equilibrium price, there is no shortage and no surplus. The market clears. Buyers can buy all they want at that price. Sellers can sell all they want at that price. The equilibrium price is also called the market clearing price. Let me explain what happens when the price is not at equilibrium. If the price is above equilibrium, quantity supplied will be greater than quantity demanded. This is a surplus. Producers have too many goods. They cannot sell them all. To get rid of the surplus, producers will lower the price. As price falls, quantity demanded increases and quantity supplied decreases. the market moves toward equilibrium. If the price is below equilibrium, quantity demanded will be greater than quantity supplied. This is a shortage. Consumers want to buy more than is available. They cannot find the goods they want. To eliminate the shortage, producers will raise the price. As price rises, quantity demanded decreases and quantity supplied increases. The market moves toward equilibrium. Let me give you a numerical example. Suppose the demand and supply for oranges are as follows. At price 100 naira, quantity demanded is 100, quantity supplied is 20. There is a shortage of 80. At price 200 naira, quantity demanded is 80, quantity supplied is 40. There is a shortage of 40. At price 300 naira, quantity demanded is 60, quantity supplied is 60. Equilibrium. No shortage, no surplus. At price 400 naira, quantity demanded is 40, quantity supplied is 80. There is a surplus of 40. At price 500 naira, quantity demanded is 20, quantity supplied is 100. There is a surplus of 80. The equilibrium price is 300 naira. The equilibrium quantity is 60 oranges. Now let me explain what happens when demand or supply shifts. If demand increases, the demand curve shifts to the right. At the original price, there is now a shortage. Price rises. Quantity rises. The new equilibrium has a higher price and a higher quantity. If demand decreases, the demand curve shifts to the left. At the original price, there is now a surplus. Price falls. Quantity falls. The new equilibrium has a lower price and a lower quantity. If supply increases, the supply curve shifts to the right. At the original price, there is now a surplus. Price falls. Quantity rises. The new equilibrium has a lower price and a higher quantity. If supply decreases, the supply curve shifts to the left. At the original price, there is now a shortage. Price rises. Quantity falls. The new equilibrium has a higher price and a lower quantity. Let me give you real-world examples. During the COVID-19 pandemic, demand for hand sanitizer increased greatly. The demand curve shifted to the right. Price rose. Quantity rose. This was a change in demand, not a change in quantity demanded. The price went up because demand increased. When a new technology reduces the cost of producing solar panels, supply increases. The supply curve shifts to the right. Price falls. Quantity rises. Consumers benefit from lower prices. Producers who use the new technology benefit from higher profits. A common exam question asks you to define demand and supply and state the laws of demand and supply. Here is a sample answer. Demand is the quantity of a good or service that consumers are willing and able to buy at various prices over a given period of time. The law of demand states that as price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and as price decreases, quantity demanded increases. Supply is the quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to sell at various prices over a given period of time. The law of supply states that as price increases, quantity supplied increases, and as price decreases, quantity supplied decreases. Another exam question asks you to distinguish between a change in quantity demanded and a change in demand. Here is your answer. A change in quantity demanded is a movement along the demand curve caused only by a change in the price of the good itself. A change in demand is a shift of the entire demand curve caused by factors other than price, such as changes in income, prices of related goods, tastes, number of buyers, or expectations. Another exam question asks you to explain the factors that can shift the supply curve. Here is your answer. The supply curve can shift due to changes in the cost of production, changes in technology, changes in the price of related goods in production, changes in the number of sellers, and changes in expectations. An increase in supply shifts the curve to the right. A decrease in supply shifts the curve to the left. Another exam question asks you to determine the equilibrium price and quantity from a schedule. Here is your answer. Equilibrium occurs where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. To find equilibrium, look for the price at which the quantity that consumers want to buy equals the quantity that producers want to sell. At that price, there is no shortage and no surplus. The market clears. Let me summarize what you have learned. Demand is what consumers are willing and able to buy. The law of demand says price and quantity demanded move in opposite directions. Factors that shift demand include income, prices of related goods, tastes, number of buyers, and expectations. Supply is what producers are willing and able to sell. The law of supply says price and quantity supplied move in the same direction. Factors that shift supply include cost of production, technology, prices of related goods in production, number of sellers, and expectations. Equilibrium is where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. At equilibrium, there is no shortage or surplus. Changes in demand or supply change the equilibrium price and quantity. That is all for Topic 3. Practice drawing demand and supply curves. Practice shifting the curves. Practice finding equilibrium. See you in Topic 4.